Всем привет! Today I would love to tell you about our travel to three Russian cities, which names are Tver, Torzhok, and Veliky Novgorod. All these cities are located not really far from St. Petersburg and Moscow. I will show you on map how far they are. Our travel was in the autumn, in September exactly, of 2023. First of all, we went to my relatives. They live in the village, on the border of Moscow district and Tver district, and we went there by car. And the village where they live is very nice. There are just 2 streets and 15 houses. Actually, nothing else is there. No even any shop. So you can get to the shop by car, maybe in 10-15 minutes. There is a shop, but just once a week, auto shop comes to them, and that's it. But they live really nicely and peacefully there. They have very good house territory. They are taking care of it really well, and the house is really like in the city. I mean, all inside accommodation, like shower, electricity, internet, TV, so everything like in the city. That was really cool. And I swear, I remember that I need to put a lipstick on my lips, so please wait a second. We spent there 2 days. Well, the first day we came, one day we were there, and the third day we went away because I wanted to go next place in our trip. Next point, it was Tver. It's the capital of Tver region, or as we call it in Russia, Tverskaya Oblast. And Tver, I think it's gonna be the same in English, as far as I know. I don't know the exact meaning of Tver. Just from the word, I can't say what does it mean, what it means, but I'll check and I'll write you down. The city is middle-sized, so it's about maybe 300,000 population, and I can say that when we just got there by car, the first impression was that I wanted to just to leave this this city and go to the next one, but that was not because even the city was so bad, but because my own impression. Because firstly, we were not so lucky, and we came to the city when they had a very huge road renovating in the city center, so there were lots of traffic jams, despite the city is not really so big and so like noisy, busy. But this time it was like that, and that was very how to say it, exhausting. Also, when we just entered the city, we made a stop nearby the mall because I wanted to go to the toilet. And in the mall, when we were there, one man, he tried to steal something, and we saw how he tried to run away. The guard grabbed him and they like brought him back to the shop where he stole something, and they called to the police. I never seen anything like this, so I can't say that I was like, oh my god, what a terrible place, but it made some vibes because it was very first impression of the city. Then I was a bit angry and upset because that time I was a vegan. It was in my 2 years of being vegan, and I was looking for food, and I was very I hope that I will find this food in a special shop. There is a, how to say it, a brand of shops. They have some healthy food or food for vegans. And I thought that they have ready meals, but they said that no, in this city we don't have ready meals, vegan ready meals, and I was so angry and upset. And also in the hotel, we didn't like our room, but I didn't want to change it because we wanted to spend there just one night, and I wanted just to go and look around the city. But that was a mistake. Later I understood that. But finally we found some food. We made a walk around the city, and I can say that maybe I expected something more. So it wasn't really bad or something, but I wouldn't like to live there, for example. I was expected that maybe the city is more interesting, maybe more pleasant. There was one district with small houses, like private houses. It was nice, but actually, in general, I don't know. I can't say that I was impressed with anything, or something was really interesting, really pleasant. Mm, it was just like nothing, or I just love that I'm not here, because it seemed to me that the city a little bit um, provincial, as we say in Russia. So you don't have lots of perspectives there. If you was born there and you're growing up there, and maybe you need to move somewhere else, despite the city is not so small. Mm, so I don't know. There, I saw there are some like guys like gopniks or hooligans. They looked really like 20 years ago. So it wasn't like scary. It was just a bit sad that they still have this culture, and yeah, that was a bit upsetting. So it was nice to have a one-day walk there, but actually, I don't know. This city is quite old, actually, and well known, pretty well known. People know about it, and I thought that it would be more interesting. But that's a funny fact that people of my age, they usually told me that they don't like it, and it sucks. But elderly people said that it's okay, it's a nice city, so maybe I don't know. Um, there were some interesting things, places, too, of course. But what I didn't also like, what I also didn't like that, for example, in the evening there was almost no lighting in the streets, despite it was like a city center or almost city center. For example, in the parks, we were in absolute dark, and people were walking there almost in absolute dark, and it was so strange for me that they can't do lightning there. And what I liked that they have walkable street, so street with no cars. It's like the main street in the city center, and that's cool. I think that's very like in Europe. I think each city must have more streets just for walking without cars, so car-free streets, and that was nice. Um, they have really strange obsession with birds, because they had lots of memorials with birds, chickens, even in some really unexpected places, just a courtyard inside between some block of flats, and there was a monument for chicken. I don't know why. And my friend, she even told me that for a very long time they had no McDonald's, but they have Chicken House, and Chicken House is very popular there. And nearby Chicken House, there is also a monument to chicken, and I don't know why. I tried to find some information why, but I didn't find anything else. But that's actually really, really weird. So, and also I got not very good impression, because I didn't change the room. The room was, first of all, very stuffy. It was just a, below the roof, under the roof, and so the last floor. Very stuffy, very hot room with no air conditioning. And if you open the window, uh, the street was really small, but very noisy if car drive through the street. So the houses, they were small, like 2-3 floors. So you were very close to this car, and the street was narrow, and that's why it was super loud with the open window, and I couldn't sleep normally all the night. But that's how I understood that better to change the room, to take time for it, even you stay just at one night. If they have no normal rooms, but I would better pay for uh, how to say it, but bedroom like lux or half lux, or partly looks something like this, but not the Turbo Night, and also it spoiled my impression very much. So I understood that, uh, yeah, better better to overpay sometimes, but have a better impression if you just have a short trip in the city. So the next day we woke up and we went to the next town, which is called Torzhok. Let me show you. By the way, I can tell that in Tver there were pretty nice restaurants and cafes. So we found good buffet, the brand of buffets. There were several of them in the city. Also, we ate in pretty nice Asian restaurants. So the restaurants were actually quite okay. We just needed some time to find them. So, uh, from Tver, we went by car for 40 minutes in Torzhok. Torzhok, I checked the name meaning, but it was a long time ago. And as far as I remember, that's from word торговать, that means bargain in Russian. So I think it's something about the town is very ancient too. Maybe there were some markets there, some trading stuff, something like this. There were lots of churches. The town is not really big, like 30,000-40,000 of people living there. And the town was so sad actually, because it's a touristic town. There are lots of ancient churches, but they all are in terrible condition, or almost all in so sad and terrible condition. Many of them are ruined, absolutely ruined, and that made me feel so upset. Mostly because the city is actually touristic, so it's not some abandoned, dying city, and I was really surprised with that. And if I thought that in Tver it's not so good to be born there, and there are these gopniks, hooligans culture. In Torzhok, it was even more, and it seemed to me that it's quite cool in Torzhok to be, if you are a man, no matter what age, you need to drive on this cheap, like Russian or Soviet car with windows, with opened windows, so like rolled down, and you need to turn on music very loud, and no matter what kind of music, even some girly pop music, but they need to drive through the street like this, and everyone did it, and that was so strange. But first of all, that's a touristic city, but town, not city. And also, that's a city where they have some enterprises. I don't know what kind of, but I know that many people have business trips there, and that's why they built there two hotels for these people actually who come for a business trip. And these hotels have two hotels have spa, have billiard, bowling, and we stayed at one of these hotels. It was not even in the town, it was just in the entrance before the town. And actually, the hotel really made our day there, because during the daytime we walked through the town, but in the evening, for example, it's just nothing to do there. Everything is closed. There are no entertainments, nothing. And all the entertainments were in the hotel, so you could play bowling, you can play billiard. We went to spa and we were alone there, despite there were some people too. We had breakfast there. Don't remember where we had a dinner actually. Okay, so and in Torzhok, there were like 5 cafes maybe in the whole town, and only one had good reviews. But the restaurant was really good. I think it was the best restaurant there. I saw from the interior that all the weddings they actually celebrate there, and also this restaurant, they made a territory around. They made it really well, so people made photos there. It was really cool. It was really cool that they made up this territory, and it looked so nice. And also I was really impressed because they didn't have vegan food, and in these situations I usually just take 3 different side dishes, And I asked them just 3 different side dishes, but I didn't ask them anything else. But they understood to serve it like a one, the whole dish, and it was really cool. And I didn't expect that, mostly in such a small town. I didn't expect anything, and I was really impressed with this. Um, but the town itself, again, it was very interesting to walk, to feel the atmosphere. But I felt sad that the churches are in such a bad condition, and yeah, that made me feel upset. But the hotel was nice, the restaurant was nice, and itself, the town was interesting just to see, to spend there one day. But still, that's actually it. And the next day, we went to Veliky Novgorod. Veliky Novgorod is located here. So here it's shown the distance from Moscow, for example. Veliky Novgorod means Veliky means great. Novgorod in ancient Russian means new city, so great new city. I don't remember the population, so I'll write you down. And the way took 4 hours, maybe 4 hours and a half from the Torzhok, and I can tell also that during the way there we made a stop in some village. I don't remember the name, but I was really impressed that in this tiny village there was a church. It was absolutely abandoned and ruined, but the one room, the one small piece of church was renovated a little bit. So there was a door and you could come in, and we came in, and there was just one room which was made up, and there were candles, and so it was one room in the church which actually local people made for themselves in this ruined church to come there to pray. And that made me so upset, because it was very upsetting to see that people needed to do this by themselves because no one took care of it. And actually, our official church is a very rich organization, and I don't know why they couldn't do this. Maybe they think that it's too small a place and they don't need to restore the church. I don't know, but it looked really, really upsetting. And actually, while we were driving, we passed through many, many villages which were just died out. So you see the sign with the name of the village. You pass through several abandoned houses, and then you see the sign that the village is over. And it's like it was like that again and again, and it's a bit depressing actually, and a bit scary actually, because we were absolutely alone there, because no one used this road, because there is another road which is like a highway, and we wanted to go through villages to see them. And I thought that if the car is broken, if for example there will be a night, it would be scary there, because there are just no one. There is just no one. Maybe some people were somewhere, some houses, but still it was even a bit tensing, I would say, and a bit upsetting. But so let's go back to Veliky Novgorod. So we came there. We stayed in a very interesting hotel. It was in the city center, in a park, and the hotel was made in a like medieval style, and it was really cool. It was designed really cool, and we really loved it. So, and I extra paid for a room which is a bit better than usual, and I didn't regret, because after that room in the Tver, I thought that I'd better overpay for better room. So the hotel was really cool. And talking about the town or city, maybe I can call it a city, I can say that it was, from the whole Russia, I think it was the most pleasant town for me, where I would say that, yeah, it would possible to live there. I wouldn't want, but it didn't look bad, it didn't look sad, it didn't look unperspective. So there were university, a good university. We see there were it was cozy, it was nice to be there. There were lots of churches, and the city is very touristic too. And some churches also are a bit shabby, but in general, it doesn't look so sad. you can see that the town is taken care of. So, and there are money in this town, so it was not so bad. And yeah, so it wouldn't feel upset to be there and to live there, to think that you could be born there, for example. Maybe the only bad thing that they have no their own airport, but still. And it's also upsetting because it's in St. Petersburg's region, so it seems to me that it's not seems to me it's like it is if you're not in Moscow region or at least in St. Petersburg's region, then the conditions are quite bad. You can even feel it just by crossing the border. For example, when we crossed the border from Moscow region to Tver region, the road became terrible with terrible big holes where I think you could you could lose your wheel. So that's quite sad also to understand all this and to see this personally. I only hear usually how people tell it, but when you're into this, it's also very upsetting. And but Veliky Novgorod was quite nice. We found very cool Indian vegan cafe there. And I was I was so disappointed the next day. I wanted to have a breakfast there too. And we came there. I was waiting till 12 o'clock because they were open at 12 o'clock only, or 11, I don't remember. And I woke up at 8. And they were closed just for some reason. The door was closed. And that's it. No explanations, anything. And I was so hungry and so disappointed. But finally, luckily, we found Papa John's, and they told us that I can choose ingredients in my pizza, and I was like, wow, cool. So Papa John's saved me. It was the first time when I tried Papa John's, and it was impressive. But unfortunately, then I tried to do this in my city, and they said no, there is no option like this. And I thought it's for all Papa John's, so they said no, no way. Or they could, but it was very expensive because they said you need to buy cheese pizza, but we don't put the cheese, but you need to pay for this, and then you can also put the ingredients and pay for the ingredients. That's crazy. I bought the pizza the next time, I mean, in my city for like $20. Vegan pizza with no meat, with no anything. So, but okay, in Veliky Novgorod, we just had a walk in the city. And we also visited a museum. It was out of the city in the nature. It was dedicated to Russian domestic life in village, in ancient village. So how Russian woodenhood look like, how Russian, so in all this life in village, bathhouse, how it looked like, farms with animals, how they looked like. It was pretty interesting. There were many kids with school groups, and they were entertained somehow with actors in these national costumes. And we just walked there. It was quite nice. I would even say that I was a bit overloaded with information, but still, it was really interesting. So, and that was our last stop. And then we just went home by car. But after this trip, I understood that I feel very upset because of all this, seeing all this abundance and shabbiness. And since that time, I don't want to go in some other Russian cities because I don't want to be upset. Actually, there are places which I would love to visit. For example, I really would love to visit our, as we call it, far east, so Kamchatka, Sakhalin Island, and this region, which is actually far east, because the nature there is like in Japan. There are volcanoes, ocean, and really Japanese nature because it's actually nearby Japan, but it's very expensive and the conditions there are quite bad for this price. So, or they will be good, but it's something for billionaires actually. So unfortunately, I can't do this, and that's a bit upsetting. So, but what can I do? Maybe one day I go to Japan and see all these just nearby. So thank you very much for watching. I hope it was interesting for you, interesting and informative. I tried hard to make it interesting. So thank you for watching, and пока-пока.